Today I was supposed to go and I was gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. We canceled because these friends are stoners and stoners are bad at, efficient things. So I'm sitting here and I finish up the video that I'm making about Mount Doom. So I decided that, you know what? In the end of the Mount Doom video, I bring up a theoretical campaign, a theoretical Dungeons and Dragons campaign that's a political thing involving a big magic volcano. And I think that sounds dope, and you know what, let's just do a little bit of brainstorming right here on camera just for fucking fun. When I GM and when I world build a lot, I like to focus on the characters that are involved. It's easy to focus on the places, the nations, the countries, the people groups, that kind of stuff, but if you can create good characters that are interesting, then your party is going to just be able to create a story out of it. As long as you know your characters well and, they have things that they can be doing, then you're fine. Just do those things for those characters. Political campaign, Dungeons and Dragons, and volcanoes. So obviously this is going to be set around a volcano, and for a political campaign it's really easy. It's a good idea to have kind of this anchor that's like, it's easy to see why the conflict is being created amongst these people, these characters. And to do that, a MacGuffin. That's pretty simple. But the MacGuffin in D&D is usually some kind of giant badass boss fight or magical item or something, something that, has dire consequences. So I'd probably make the volcano dormant. It could be reignited, and the players should know that. But what I was thinking was, under the volcano, even like as a separate thing from how you reignite the volcano, there could be a Tarask, or a Tarask, however you pronounce it. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, that's basically just like a giant French living bulldozer of an animal. It's awesome. Yeah, so you have a dormant volcano, and under it is a Tarask, whatever, that's just sleeping. And people, for whatever reason, probably just heard about it. And you could probably just, slip that into some talk with an NPC, something like that, and just have the players get roped into it. Drop hints and stuff. And then eventually, if they don't catch on, then you just place someone there to rope them in. But yeah, so now you have your stakes. There's a Tarask in a volcano. I would probably set it in one city. Different cultures, that stuff doesn't matter for this. I would probably have, do 4 people that all just want the Tarask, and I would probably just make them all similarly powerful. And to get all these characters right, you should make them powerful in different ways. One idea I had was there could be a family, like the creepy white family, kind of the archetype in Get Out, with with a more of an American Gothic kind of thing going for them. Just have a family like that, and maybe add some culty kind of aspects to it, and they could be super rich by having a plantation, and therefore buy their own private army, their own spellcasters, that kind of stuff, to wield power in this city that is next to this volcano that has a Tarask under it. Who else could there be? You could probably just have the local governor or the king of the city. That could be one, probably the most generic person to go with. I would probably just put their motivation as keep power. They have power because they're the king. They have court mages, they have armies that they can use and stuff. But so I would not make the king super powerful. Make the authority of whoever's in charge just definitely fracturing at the seams, and it's noticeable. Because you want, unless you want to make the king the antagonist or something, and you want them to overcome him, and then they can choose whoever they want to fight politically or whatever. When I do political campaigns, it's basically just give your players a bunch of options of characters that are going for a goal, and then see who you want to help, or make your own goal and just screw everyone else. I basically just pull a Fallout New Vegas when I do that. And I've done it like once or twice, and it worked out fine. So you would have a hook. You would have it maybe, oh, there's a task about, have you heard? Have you felt the ground shaking around? People say that it's the end of the times for the city. People say that the king's divine favor is faltering, and that's why the temple is going to take charge of the city and hopefully put the Tarask to sleep. Just stuff like that. So yeah, the temple, you could have a family, you could have the king, and then maybe you could have someone who's coming up, some kind of populist leader who, there's some kind of grain shortage, and the king's not worried about that. They're worried about their power. I could easily see this coming to the boss fight. Everyone would know the Tarask is the last fight. But I would, for each character that's in the political campaign, the family, the king, the populist leader, and the temple, I guess. Each faction, I guess, each faction that's going for the Tarask should have some kind of, boss at the end of it, and that's who should support it. Maybe for the family, it's the mother and the father, but they should have some kind of cool fight thing, So I would say have a boss fight in mind. Create a boss fight for each faction, or create a boss fight for whatever faction. Just, prioritize one and how evil they become. And as you go on with the campaign, you can make a faction become more evil, And so eventually they can just become the primary faction that they're fighting, and you can kill off whoever's not really important off screen. Oh, he was mauled by a bear. Isn't that insane? The fates have truly thought this house not worthy of holding the divine Tarask. For the boss fight for the Tarask, you just make it in a volcano. Have the volcano explode, Have an outside force make the volcano explode. Just make it a coincidence if you want to. As long as you don't oversaturate your campaign with coincidences, you're fine to do whatever you want. You could... I would probably make it... Okay, so... when my characters go into a dungeon and I'm not, I just don't have one created or something and don't have anything thought out for it, I use the tiles that come with the, the board game Dungeons and Dragons things. That's how I got my miniatures and dice and everything in the very beginning. I like to use the tiles, the dungeon tiles, and it's basically just random dungeon crawling. For the volcano thing, something like that would totally work, and you could just justify it by saying, oh, it's magical, the caverns inside the volcano were moving around. Or you could just say, oh, the caverns and the volcano are moving around due to the volcanic lava currents. Yeah, and it's magic, And, most players don't have an issue with something like that. And then Tarask boss fight. Just in a lava environment, just in the pit of a volcano. It awakens, Eventually, just in the middle of campaign, you can just throw the boss fight at them when you think they're ready. Maybe have them beefing up throughout the entire thing, and then armies and stuff get involved, and then civilians start getting killed. That's the escalation of it. And, make up more stuff as you go along. You're going to have to. It's going to happen. Your characters are going to bring in stuff that you don't even know. It's just D&D. But, just have people competing for the Tarask. Have some reason that they can't awaken him, and then, they work towards it. You can make it as simple as a potion. It's kind of cheesy, but at the end of the day, it's D&D. Who gives a shit? And if your players don't like that, well, then they can suck your salty dick. This has been Stoneworks World Building, coming at you live from the closet. Happy Pride Month, y'all. Turn up. That's right, I listen to the Misfits podcast.